Why is it that some communities, some individuals, and some businesses are able to get certain success with financial institutions when it comes to getting access to capital and other perks and benefits that come with healthy banking relationships with financial institutions versus other communities, other businesses, and other individuals? What's the difference in the success rate that you have with a financial institution and being able to develop your personal finances, your household finances, your small business, or even your community when it comes to the banking system? This is a deep-rooted issue that is still a very, very sizable sore spot for many of us functioning here in America. And I want to cover that topic for this week's Friday Pioneer Spotlight. I'm not going to target any particular pioneer in this video, though I've had some great comments or so in the last week or so. I just want to focus on a particular topic for my existing audience. If you're catching this brand new, there's going to be great information in this that you can take from this video. I advise you to stick through it, become a part of the committee, become a part of the community, subscribe and move forward. But I want you to stick around, take notes, and let's have this conversation and comment down below your thoughts as this conversation unfolds. For those of you who may be new, I want you to have a little context on who I am. I am a relationship banker by trade. I've been in financial services as a whole for over 13 years. I have an active mortgage license, active FINRA investment license, active life insurance license, small business specialist on small business banking and credit. And the list kind of goes on, to be honest with you. I'm also somebody who's had good finances, collapsed his finances due to personal issues I was going through, and rebuilt those finances from scratch over the last 6 to 7 years to significant levels. Improved my net worth from negative net worth territory to 6 figures plus, income over 6 figures, as well as access to capital that is also over 6 figures, and all are growing. So you're listening to somebody who has professional experience as well as real life experience. So hopefully that gives you context on who you're hearing this information from. So the most important thing I want to cover, the topic, the foundation of this conversation is going to be, there's a huge difference between access and a relationship. For the longest period of time, if you're in the Black community, Afro-descendant community, or other marginalized communities historically in this country, then you should be able to understand the context of what I'm saying in this conversation very much. If you're not, by chance, you happen to be from an ethnic group or racial group that has been favored in this country, again, there's going to be value in this education, because at this point in time, it's just an American issue, to be completely honest. It's much deeper than color at this point in time. But there's a big difference between access and relationships. One of the biggest examples that I can lead, several economic pitfalls that we've reached in the last 15 years or so, 2008, most recently, COVID is a great example. If you're from a region like myself or almost any other part of the country, you may have experienced natural disasters that have uprooted your household or your businesses. You found yourself really needing help from financial institutions, whether it's personally, from a household level, or as a small business. 9 out of 10 times, if you've been through COVID, you were in a certain industry that was drastically affected. If you were through a 2008, any economic, it could have been local, state, or federal level economic, or global level economic shakeups, 9 out of 10 times you've probably experienced really needing assistance from banks. That could have been access to capital, other financial resources, access to your own money if you had to evacuate from something. Either way it goes, you needed more assistance. The best example might be PPP and IDL loans and stuff like that. That was extremely prominent times where small businesses were living and dying off access to that capital. And it was very limited. When you start thinking about the difference from access to relationships, to be honest, when you think about going to a live event, a concert, or a performance, imagine if you were granted access, you were able to buy a ticket, and you get to that event and you find out that that ticket is admission to the bathroom. Like, think about if that ticket was only for you to be able to be a part of that event because the ticket access was the bathroom or the maintenance room, utility room. Like, that would be egregious to almost everybody watching this video. That would be insane, all right? Like, to go there and it's like, okay, this is going to be your seat, or this is where you're going to be stationed at. There would be no thought behind, like, what? So technically speaking, that's access to the event in the building. Like, you got in a facility. It's access. It's there. You're there. It's not a relationship. It's not the access that you intended when you purchased the ticket. It's the same concept of civil rights and many other movements that have taken place to get access to arguably the greatest financial system ever created, depending on your perspective. It's really about excess, but when you get the excess, what do you do with it? So now that all of these different legislations, social movements have passed along, and there's excess for the majority of everybody in the country, that excess looks different for everybody. And when you think about, again, going back to PPP, COVID, depending on the industry you are in, you probably can relate firsthand on trying to get access to these resources and not having access to a banker, an underwriter, somebody who was a decision maker, or at least somebody who could help prep you and pull your file to the front and give you a legitimate shot at these resources. It's crazy when you think about the difference that made for larger corporations, even some large scale, small and medium sized corporations, entities, and enterprises that had bankers on speed dial, that had RMs, relationship managers, business bankers on speed dial, that could find out exactly when these programs were rolling out, find out exactly what documentation was needed, find out how to prep a profile, and get it to the front of the line as fast as possible before these funds and these resources ran out. This was the difference between those who made it, those who even padded their pockets, and those who died through that economic cycle. This is catastrophic, major, major topic that really needs a lot of attention. And it's one of the reasons why I went beyond my corporate career to start this YouTube channel and start an entire business to broaden the understanding of financial resources, tools, and products, but also to push the narrative for access to relationships. The greatest wealth that wealthy people in this country have, and rich people in this country and really around the world have, to be honest, but sticking to the United States, a lot of people say, oh, the banks are for rich people, the financial system's for rich people. I come from a background that totally promotes that mindset. I have nowhere near a silver spoon. I had great, two hardworking parents. My father was military retired and went in construction for 30, 40 years after. Mother worked for the police department, worked for a private corporation, AAA, administrative, etc. I had hardworking parents, but at the end of the day, some of you may be able to relate. When you are coming up Black working class, it's really low-key poverty for the rest of the country. And so I come from a mindset, I come from a family philosophy that, will promote this idea that the financial system is rigged towards rich people, etc. I'm not somebody who grew up silver spooned or with this thwarted view of, the existence of culture and community in America, etc. Right? But that having been said, I have come from that background and working all the way through the financial system on the other end and becoming successful. To be honest with you, it's really about a game of understanding how the system works and connecting with people that can help get you access to the resources and tools that you need to elevate your financial situation. Some people are born with that. Some of it is passed down and handed down, no doubt. But there are a lot of people who get it from the ground up. I mean, a lot of people. When you look at the statistics, I believe I just ran across an article where there was 600,000 new millionaires created just last year in America, if I'm not mistaken. And that number, that percentage is growing significantly. There are tens of millions of millionaires. A very small fraction of them are inheritance, by the way. It's the greatest capital that wealthy people in this country have, to go back to the helm of my point, is relationship capital, believe it or not. Knowing the right people, having access to the right tools and resources is one of the most important things that successful people have. And when you start thinking about the importance of leveraging the resources that many of us finally have access to in this country, many of us don't understand the value of it and take it for granted. This is why you are here constantly on my channel. You hear me promote an entire financial strategy around building a portfolio of banking relationships, literally as if it's an asset class. I literally see banking relationships as an asset class. You having access to banks, financial resources, and actual bankers, actual branch managers, RMs, business bankers, like real decision makers and application takers and people who can prep your profile and help give you access to the new programs rolling out and when interest rates change in your favor, etc., is an asset class in itself. It is not enough to just have access to that financial institution. There was a point in time where we were fighting just to be able to put our deposits in a bank if you're, again, from a marginalized community. Many people today take that same struggle for granted. It's only a couple decades later. It's like literally a few decades later. People are still alive today. Many of them who come from an era where you couldn't even put your money in the bank if you were from a certain marginalized group. Now it's so convenient and so accessible, so democratized that we take it for granted. Like, we bank places don't even give a damn about what they offer. If we are banking properly with them, we don't give a damn who works there. Like, the banks and branches right in our community, we know nobody. But then soon as we need them, something happens, we want to get on social media, go out and march and protest and knock shit over in the streets because they didn't pull our applications to the front or tell us about these programs. Or, Mark, do you realize that you also didn't do your part in pulling yourself to the front of the line? These banks are giving out a ton of financial education and resources. I know firsthand because I work with them. I work at one. I literally do this for a living. I'm telling you, the access that is available, the education, the resources that is available is literally enough for somebody to bootstrap themselves. And I know some people hate the bootstrapping term, but it is what it is. I don't give a damn. Take it for what it is. The reality of it is this is the best economic system that you can start from scratch and build yourself up in. I don't care what your philosophy is. It's just facts. This financial system, banks, financial institutions, literally have the most resources for you to bootstrap yourself from scratch than anywhere else in the world. It's crazy. It's not perfect. It's not flawless. There's still prejudice. There's still systemic issues, no doubt. But that has been remedied more than ever. And you are not going to sit, neither I am going to sit and act like our struggle today is anywhere near what our ancestors, our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents had to go through in the past. It's egregious for you to be complaining, marching, bitching, whining about what is going on systemically now. Not there's not issues to still be tackled, but it's like it's the equivalent or the same struggle that was going on 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 years ago. Is insane. And you not, and myself not, taking advantage of what's available to us to the maximum capacity is an insult and a slap in the face of our ancestors and the people on both sides of the aisle that fought to make this right. Whether it's white, black, green, yellow, purple. At the end of the day, now is the best time thus far until tomorrow to get access to bankers, humans, decision makers, application takers, etc., that can help make a difference in your personal, household, community, and small business finances at a level unprecedented. You building out a strong banking relationship, not just access to banks, not just dropping a few dollars in the bank, getting a card, getting online access, and moving on to the next institution. Meeting people, getting decision makers, getting first name basis with people who are going to be prominent when it's time for you to get a home loan. Find out when credit card opportunities are popping up. Find out when interest rates on savings and CDs are paying well. Find out when new products are coming out for retirement vehicles that you can take. Investor loans, business cash flow management tools. When these things roll out or when these things are available, events, financial education seminars, these banks are doing all of it. And there are crickets in the crowd because nobody even takes the time out to find out they exist. And these are literally direct sources. So when COVID comes back around, civil unrest comes back around, hurricane, tornado, earthquake comes back around, you're displaced, need access to resources, and don't have somebody on speed dial, don't have the financial tools already in place to deal with the cash flow management to keep your business alive because you're displaced and you need money to keep moving and keep your business around so you can get back home and get back in function. When these things take place, stop blaming the system. Stop blaming the system. It's on you at this point in time to make sure that you have access to people who know that you're trying to contribute to your household, contribute to your community, and contribute to this overall economy and help you do that by the way they're paid to do, by the way, incentivized to do. It's your job to make sure that you're in front of the right people. Your job to make sure you have access and have the infrastructure in place to keep your finances going, to make sure your family is protected, and to make sure that your small business has access to the financial tools, the resources, and the capital it needs to survive through the guaranteed economic, natural disaster, civil unrest that we will experience, that will displace us, shut economies down, disturb our businesses, and disturb our households. It's on you to make a difference. It's your job. The resources are there. The people are there. It's your job to take advantage. Stop being lazy. Stop taking it for granted. Stop complaining about the system. Stop whining. There's a difference. There's a huge difference between access and relationships. It is not a financial institution's job to literally come knock on your door and beg you to bank with them, beg you to build relationships with them. They've opened a door. They're telling you what's available. They democratize it. It's law. It's in place. It's regulated. It's your job to make sure that that turns into financial prosperity for you, your family, your community, and your business. So all my pioneers, welcome back To my new viewers, welcome in. I want you to comment down below all of your thoughts, feelings, emotions, perspectives on this in the comment section below. I want each of you to stay focused, stay in motion. I'll see y'all soon.